Alright, pilots attempt to land at Paducah and prepare for a gear-up landing. Once they touch down, they get a 3 grain indicating that a gear has locked, assuming a faulty light. Once they make their way to the FBO and do their brake, they go back up into the air without checking the fuel first. On their way back to Cape, on the ILS-5 approach, the pilot gets an engine failure due to fuel starvation. Once landing, they deploy the gear and get 1 gear. When touching down, the gear collapses, causing them to slide off the runway and sealing the only door out of the cockpit. It is dusk with low visibility and smoke is coming from the airplane. It was seen by the next student for the instructor. We know that it is 75 degrees Fahrenheit and humid. The wind is at 200 degrees at 10 mile gusting 15 mile per hour. There was low fuel, gear issues. There is nothing in the notes about who is watching the flight. We have the names of the instructor and student on both the pre-flight sheet and FSP, and it is dusk and low vis with a student witnessing the accident.
Alrighty, so with that information, we're going to figure out how we'd respond with that information at hand. We would first figure out who's involved in responding to the aircraft accident. In this instance, the first person acting in this would be the student that was able to see it. Would utilize resources to their disposal, but not wait to call emergency services. That's the first thing they should do. They shouldn't try and fix the problem themselves, running out to the airplane immediately, and being a resource to teams that could potentially help them rather than putting themselves in harm's way. If they are going to help, if it seems like it is necessary immediately, they need to analyze the surroundings and act accordingly. Thankfully, he was there to see the whole thing happen, so he's aware of what's going on, but he's not aware of some of the other things like how low fuel they are right now. If the victims of the crash are safe in the situation, you should try and talk to them and calm them down. Protect the individuals around the situation. So if there's anybody outside the FBO with cameras, or if they're trying to see what's happening, make sure they're aware of the situation and keep them safe. Provide basic first aid if required. Don't allow the media to, don't give them any information you may not know. No comment is a good answer to them. And assist emergency service is if needed. We know we have a fire checklist that we can use. So if we're seeing smoke, we can use the CARE acronym up there on the screen. Using a fire extinguisher, we also have checklists down for there. Being trained with it, having your back to an obstructed exit. This is some of which is for the indoor fires, but the same thing can be applied to fire outdoor on the runway. The fire is contained, report the fire, or use, obviously activate the fire alarm, especially if the nearby grass that they slid down into is beginning to catch fire. Again, we don't know if there's fire, but we know there's smoke, so there must be something happening. Everyone else has left the area, and there's little smoke or flames to call 911. When not to fight a fire, the fire's left the source of origin, so if it's spreading across the runway, lacks safety training for the extinguisher, or you're unsure of the equipment type to be used. The PAST acronym is for using the extinguisher correctly. Then we would utilize resources and not waste time calling emergency services, analyzing the situation. There are hazards nearby that could potentially harm emergency authorities. Make sure they're aware of those. Don't move the victim unless the hazard could potentially harm them further, so unless the fire could reach them. Keeping watch on injured individuals, performing CPR first aid if you are certified, making sure that your certification is not up within the last 2 years, and have people help guide emergency services to the victims safely.
At this point, our number one priority is to ensure the safety of those around the incident and helping get the people out of the plane.
If an accident occurs, forced landing or cautionary landing, contact dispatch via the quickest means necessary. Contact U.S. Aviation using the main number or dispatch number. If unable to contact dispatch, call a member of management listed in the directory document. The radio dispatch on the company frequency if able. Relay this information: the date, time, and location, aircraft model and tail number, number of injuries, description of occurrence, and name of pilot and known passengers, and name and contact info of the person making a report. So, who should be contacted and in what order? First, you would contact Miranda Sullivan, who is the program director. Then you would contact Rick Sanchez, the SMS director. After the incident is cleared, the pilot must contact the chief flight instructor as soon as possible for an interview and complete a safety ticket for the SMS. Immediate notification to NTSB required by operator of aircraft, and here's the list of required reports. Following info is required. Name of owner or operator, name of the pilot and the command, date and time of the accident, the last point of departure and point of intended landing, position of aircraft with reference to some easily defined geographical point, number of persons aboard, number killed, and the number of seriously injured, and the nature of the accident and the extent of the damage.
So let's talk about who should make up the response team. Three of the main people that make it up are the base manager, being Alfred Kinchin, the head of SEMO Aviation, the director of the program, which is Miranda Sullivan, and the SMS manager, which is Rick Sanchez. Things to keep in mind is that the safety program coordinator needs to contact the department head, being Miranda Sullivan, contact the dean of students here at SEMO, which is Trey Mitten, contact the provost and VP of academic affairs, coordinate with the NTSB, FAA, TSA, and whatever other organizations need to be contacted, and notify the local FSDO, which is the nearest one that is next to where the accident occurred. You also want to ensure that all evidence is safe and prevent any tampering or disturbance of it. It's really important to make sure that nobody is grabbing any supplies or wreckage from the accident to make sure that the NTSB has as much evidence to make a report as possible. You want to photograph and video the entire scene. This is really important to, again, make sure that the NTSB knows what the wreck looked like after the accident 100%. And then you want to have all people involved complete the safety report. This could be anybody that saw the accident occur, anybody that survived the accident, or has any sort of information about it at all. And you want to locate or contact local emergency services and emergency response team for the airport to make sure that everybody is safe.
Alrighty, so who should lead the incident response team? We should have the base manager, Alfred, be first contacted for leading it, then handing it off to Miranda Sullivan, which he's able, and keeping Rick Sanchez, SMS chief, in the loop with it. Emergency crews should take over if necessary when they arrive, and then once the NTSB investigators arrive and the emergency is taken care of, handing over the incident to them to continue their investigation.
So, who should oversee the scene? The person who oversees the situation is Alfred Kinchin, safety official at the scene. Then, if that person is not at the scene, contact Miranda Sullivan, who's the director of aviation. Then, if she's not there, Rick Sanchez, the SMS director, will be the final person to oversee if the other two individuals mentioned are not present.
So how do we go about collecting the aircraft and securing the scene? Well, one of the main things is that you want to allow the NTSB to continue the investigation. Make sure that you fill out the incident command emergency response tasks form and basically just step aside and let the NTSB do their job because that's what they're trained to do. Once the NTSB has completed their tasks, you can contact the base manager, being Alfred Kinchin, and the program director here at SEMO to inquire about what to do with the aircraft. They will give you insight on, where you can move things, what you can move, things like that. And the wreckage team will be hired to move the aircraft and assess damages with the mechanics team. So how does the scene change if loss of life has occurred? Well, notify emergency crews and first responders as soon as possible. They'll take care of dispatching the coroner and not you. That's not your duty. You can let them do that. Do not allow media to access the incident area. If they try to question you or ask about any information on the accident, just tell them no comment. It's really important to not give false information or speculate about anything to the media because they'll take it and amplify it with their stories. Then you want to follow the emergency response follow-up checklist, which I have listed here. First, contact the University Marketing and Communications Department about the accident incident as it relates to public relations. They'll kind of give you good insight on what you can tell media and what you shouldn't. You want to contact all SEMO aviation staff that you're able to. You want to notify the applicable insurance company. Ensure that family and guardians of people involved in the accident are informed. complete the NASA ASRS form, and complete the FAA Aircraft Accident/Incident Preliminary Action Form.
There's a few things that we could change about our plan. First is we don't have anything in there for natural disasters, such as forest fires and hurricanes. The other things we are missing are things for security sets, such as if bombing or hijacking threats, and what if scenarios, such as if someone loses a plane.